Hey guys, Rams here again. Just bringing you some more gameplay. This is a game that I played during the, Operation Steel Wave, like towards the beginning of the season. As you can see, like from the top right, I am Plat 3. I've been going back and forth between Plat 3 and Plat 2 for the majority of like the beginning of this season. I'm really not worried about it, but I'm definitely playing the game to play, trying to win. Um, if you're wondering why I'm not playing on my other account, it's because it doesn't have the season pass, so I don't have the new operators unlocked yet, and I think that they're too good not to play with. So I'm gonna obviously wait until I can purchase them with renown or whatever. But I'm sending you this, or I'm bringing you this video basically to give you my first impressions of Steel Wave and the new operators Malusi and Ace, and to talk about a few of the other operators that could be pretty strong. But basically, Ace is really strong. I don't think that Ace is going to change necessarily the way the game is played from what I've witnessed within using him. You can still juggle the you can still juggle his Selmas off the wall before they even go off, which I think is good. I did it earlier. I think I did it during either this game or another game. I can't remember. I've played probably like 20 games or so this season. Um, I see a lot of people complaining about Malusi, and I get it. I understand like why people are complaining about it, but I can't help that. But at least I can't help but think that the people that are complaining about Malusi are people that don't want to play as a team in ranked. Like like they're worried about Malusi gadgets preventing them from moving in and out of certain areas. But if you're by yourself and you run into a Malusi, like you obviously can't push there, so you have to go back and work as your team with your team. And that's why I partially think that Malusi is a good thing for this game right now, because there's a lot of solo play going on in non-competitive play, and I think that with a game like Rainbow Six, like you really need to actually work as a team at the higher ranks. And so I think that it's nice that some of the crouch walking IQ G8 mains that don't use their gadget are running into something that they can't get past, and causes them some problems. Um, I think that overall, though, I do think that in combination with a lot of other operators, like if you bring Goyo, Maestro, Malusi, Jaeger, and Wamai, the attackers are going to have a hard time breaking through that utility. But that also promotes a different kind of play style that defenders have to adopt. I think that with Malusi as an operator, it promotes a lot of aggression early in the defensive round, which I don't think anybody is unfamiliar with in terms of like ranked, aggression. Like it obviously like it serves a purpose. It throws off a lot of attackers that aren't working together, aren't droning properly, which, I don't think is also like once again, I don't think it's a bad thing. I Ace to me strikes me as more not so much as like a direct hard breach operator, but like an auxiliary hard breach. Kind of like if you're bringing Hibana and you have Thermite, like Hibana is your auxiliary hard breach on some maps if you don't have a plan, or it's like not necessarily, it's obviously like dependent on the map and dependent on what defenders the are on the map and what's banned and what's not banned. So like I just don't think it's that big of a deal, uh you know for Ace to necessarily, he doesn't have to be a hard breach. Like you have options with Ace. You can do different things with Ace that you couldn't do with anyone else. And in terms of like, his gun is amazing. So like putting him on I think a hard breach like planter role is a mistake. Just based off of the gun. He also has smokes, so that helps with the execution on plant itself. Um, but basically, the way this season seems to be playing out to me is if Malusi is available, you need to bring attackers that can get rid of it. Like a Maverick, in my opinion, is a must pick if it wasn't a must pick already on a lot of maps, especially with a Thatcher ban. So, like, that's two grenades you can get rid of Malusi's with. You can get rid of Malusi's depending on their placement with Ace's Selmas. You can Ash and Zofia are very popular operators right now in terms of like, just general ranked picks. So I don't see an issue getting rid of a lot of defender utility that people complain about. Um, but obviously Malusi is going to be a highly banned operator for a lot of people, and I get it. I don't blame him for it. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. But one thing that I definitely am, kind of a big proponent of, and I posted about it on Twitter not too long ago. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, you can always, check my Twitter in the description. Is I honestly think that Callie is an operator now, especially with her buff, given her that the new SMG that Clash has that's full auto. I personally think that Callie should be brought more on attack. Callie should just be brought more, especially for teams that have like good coordination. Like if you're not a well coordinated team, Callie won't be very helpful. But for a team that's trying and droning and actually giving call outs and stuff, like Callie is the answer to everyone's issues. Callie can not only open up soft hatches and destroy gadgets, but her guns aren't bad, and she's a 2-speed and she brings a claymore. So Callie can replace a lot of the gaps in the attack that we find. Like if you have to open soft hatches, Callie can shoot them open with a sniper rifle bolt. If you have to get rid of a maestro, if you have to get rid of a banshee, if you have to get rid of a shield, there's options there. Callie can also help open the wall by getting rid of bandits and mutes and Cades potentially. Obviously, there's definitely certain places that Cade doesn't affect or isn't affected by Callie's gadget, but at the same time, like Callie brings a ton of utility to the attack, and she's a very underutilized operator. Um, I am going to be experimenting more and more with Callie as time goes on this season because I think that she can be useful. Her SMG is good. I'm telling you, go into Terrace Hunt with that little SMG that she has, and tell me that that thing doesn't seem like it could be good, especially if you're not like an ACOG attacker. Like in my mind, Callie is a secondary support operator with the potential to entry frag or at least get traded out in a scenario where like you're both pushing, like where two attackers are pushing one door on one defender, and you trade the Callie for whatever defender's on that staircase and the attackers win. It's been a long standing thing where uh, if attackers trade into a room, the attackers win that engagement most of the time, depending on what the utility is at, because they gain control of that area. Another thing that you have to think about, I talked about um, early round aggression from the defenders, is now that puts even more pressure on the attack, because with the utility meta the way that it is, if the attackers don't bring the proper utility to get rid of certain things, and let's say like the attackers bring Buck, IQ, Twitch, Ash, and Thermite, and Thatcher's band. If Ash dies, now nothing can get destroyed. Now none of the attacker utility can get destroyed. So whereas Ash would normally be an entry fragger, now like Ash has to stay alive. So there's some good things and there's some bad things to that. There's the good things about it are that you know as a defender, your early aggression can pay off even if you pick off, it doesn't matter what operator you pick off because most likely the attackers are going to bring things to get rid of utility. So anybody that you kill hurts that that attacker oriented aggression. And then on top of that, for the defenders at least, it forces the attackers to, like, Ash can't just run into the building and die or like go for a 1-for-1 trade, because now she can't, like, if Ash runs into the building and Melusi and Ash trade, the defenders win that fight because she's still going to have 3 Banshees up. On the side of, the attackers in terms of what they bring to the table and how, the early aggression can benefit the attackers, it's a punishable thing. If you drone and you have good intel, like, it doesn't matter how aggressive the defenders are. If you get that pick because the defender doesn't realize that he's there, now you just have a man advantage. So I see the way that the game is being played right now, I see it going in a good direction in terms of ranked team play. I think attackers have to work together more now. But in general, I think that the update is good. I haven't run into very many bugs per se. I definitely haven't had any issues with the with any of the gadgets. You know, like you haven't had any trouble bandit juggling ever. Like they used to have a glitch where you couldn't put down your battery; it would keep like taking it out and putting it away. I haven't had that at all. I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me if that is something that is not the case. But I'm really enjoying the season so far, regardless of like the teams that I lose to that I shouldn't lose to. Everybody has those things going on in their mind. You know, I've definitely lost some games that I shouldn't, but I've definitely been having a good season in terms of the scoreboard. I know the scoreboard isn't everything, but it just shows how the scoreboard doesn't matter, and it hasn't mattered for a long time. So I don't think anybody should be upset about going 0 and 4 on a hard breach if you're making callouts and you're winning rounds. If you're losing rounds, I can understand why you would be sort of not upset by it, but definitely like I guess just annoyed because nobody likes losing and nobody likes just dying over and over again trying to do their job on attack. Um, Other operators that I think I haven't seen a lot of play from, but I think are still could be really useful is Amaru. Um, I think you'll see during one of these rounds, one of the attackers on the enemy team does bring an Amaru, and if I didn't hear her rappel up a hatch, her quick rotation might have cut me off. So it's one of those things where like I didn't know that the last operator was Amaru, and she ran from the bottom of red stairs and came up the construction hatch and almost caught me off guard. If I wouldn't have heard that for some reason, if my sound was muffled, if my team was giving a call out and I didn't hear that, she would have just pretty much pushed into sight and killed somebody, me or my other teammate that was still alive during that round. So I don't know. It's different. This season is different, but I think it's overall a very good direction. Ubisoft has already said that they're going to try to, fix the sound soon in terms of certain things, and I think that's great. Fixing sound would be amazing. I'd love to be able to, sit in a position and more clearly understand where the attackers are coming from. I've definitely had a few moments during the season where the I'm sitting in a corner and I'm hearing footsteps. My teammates calling out one thing, but I'm hearing another. At that point, like who do you trust? I generally try to trust my teammates more than I actually trust the game sound, which is, I think, uh, the way to go if your teammates have direct sight knowledge, intel on where the last player is or whoever they're calling out. But you know, it's different. It's a different season. It's a different feeling to the game, and in particular myself, like I'm really enjoying it. I feel like over time I've sort of grown better as a player on PC with a lot of things were holding me back, like, just time played on PC, the general, keyboard and mouse. Like this is the very first keyboard and mouse game I've ever played consistently. So I think at this point, I'm doing pretty good. Um, when it comes to other things that are going on in the community, we have the pro leagues coming up, and I will have analysis videos on those as soon as possible. It's one of those things where it takes time, and obviously my videos are going to improve as time goes on. But I'm going to start, more editing them. This is just me like taking Twitch clips and talking over them, which doesn't take a lot of effort. But I am going to start putting more content out that is actually edited together, probably montages and things. I just, it's interesting because the amount of time that I've spent streaming this game and talking about it and working within the professional scene as not only a player but as somebody who has been doing not only casting commentary but analytical commentary during live events. It's interesting how much of a difficulty I still have trying to grow as a content creator. And it just goes to show that like the people who do put in the work, the people that do like make a lot of content and get a lot of views, they're not just like putting up highlight videos and getting tons of views off of them and like tagging champion and whatever, all that stuff that people complain about, at least complain about on Twitter. I don't know, maybe Reddit has a different idea. I've literally never gone on the R6 Reddit. I feel like if I go on there I'll just lose brain cells. But I'm basically just really happy with where I'm at in this game. Obviously, I want to grow more as a content creator, but I'm happy with the way things are going for myself personally. Um, COVID-19 has definitely put a big halt on a lot of what I'm trying to do on PC. Like I have to work. Like I have to pay my bills. So I wish I could put like more and more time into streaming and more time into this and that, but I don't have that luxury. So, I'm still going to work on it. I'm still going to work on different things here and there. Uh getting better at the game and also getting better as a content creator. Um but I do honestly think that if if more people would honestly just bring Callie on their attacks, they would notice how much easier it is to clear utility because she brings so much to the table. Ace already brings so much to the table in terms of being such a flexible hard breach. He doesn't have to take the time to get up close to the wall. He's definitely like the perfect mix between Hibana and Thermite. And I see no reason why he necessarily should be nerfed, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did get nerfed with in terms of his weapon. Like the AK-12 is the best gun in the game. Like, and he is now a force to be reckoned with. Like you have to question, like, do I actually want to try to take this gunfight versus Ace if he knows that I'm here? The other thing that I really like about Ace, honestly, is how how his gadget works and how he is as an operator. He's not just a run and gun operator. He's not just like, like the brain dead Ash or the brain dead IQ G8 like running around the building. Like Ace takes forethought and he takes patience and he takes, a little bit of strategy, but more strategy behind him than a lot of people I think give him credit for. Um, Melusi, on the other hand, is the opposite. Melusi places down her gadgets and just run around like a psychopath, which I don't necessarily see as a bad thing. At least it doesn't feel like, Ella on release. Like Ella on release was a terror. There's nothing you could do to fight back against her. If you picked her off early, like, I don't know if a lot of people remember those days now. There's been so many seasons and it's been quite a while since Ella was that strong. But Melusi does not feel that way to me. But I'm sure to a lot of people Melusi feels that way primarily because her gadget is a set and forget, and people that don't like to work as a team have to work as a team to combat her utility. Like, if you think about it, attacking teams for a long time have been entering in multiple locations around the building to take control. Now, say you have Thermite and IQ trying to push into an area and there's a Banshee there. Now Ash has to rotate through has to rotate around to get rid of that Banshee so that the attackers can progress further. This is a hypothetical scenario. I'm not trying to say that this is the way it is every single time, but what I am saying is that the attackers need to be more flexible with how they rotate around the map, and they need to just play better off of intel, which is something that I feel like a lot of attacking teams, especially in ranked, have not been doing very well for quite a while now. Like, if you look at the way the pros and high level ranked players like take control and have intel on different things, it's night and day. Like, if you're solo queuing in ranked, like, and you're not communicating with your team, you're really hurting them now more than ever. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It has its drawbacks and it has its benefits on both sides. There's an argument to everything. Nothing is concrete in this game anymore. Everything changes all the time. But this is just the way I see things. This is my opinion on the way things are. What else? What else do I want to talk about? Okay, so I was listening to the Logic Bomb podcast that just came out, that Get Flanked and Zeronic do, which you guys should go watch if you haven't, because there's lots of good content creators that go on there and talk about different things. But I heard them talking about that there's a niche right now in the R6 world for content creators that just talk about things that go on in the community, talk about things that go on, you know, just in general when it comes to Rainbow Six. And it's funny because right as I started this channel, I really started kind of feeling like that could be me. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to bring to you guys. Thank you for watching. I'll obviously improve over time, but I really appreciate all the support that everybody gives me, and I hope you guys have a great day.